Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all of you for our first edition of Be Unlimited series of webinars. We have thousands of you tuned in right now, and thank you so much for your time. At the outset, just want to mention there may be a few seconds of lag in transmission, so do please bear with us. I'm Sheena Kapoor, Head Corporate Marketing at Edelweiss Group, and your host for today. Today's webinar focuses on a very crucial and burning topic: rebounding to the new normal, migrant workers and domestic help. The COVID-19 pandemic has worsened the already dire situation for vulnerable migrant communities and domestic help across the country. Mass displacement, severe economic decline, and the near collapse of public services continue to take an enormous toll, exacerbating existing vulnerabilities and significantly impacting their health and well-being. Picture this: a 35-year-old woman, construction worker, gets 4 to 5 hours of just a lockdown notice, finds herself jobless, penniless, and she packs her belongings in a cloth bag bundled over her head, a 6-month-old baby in tow, and a 4-year-old child by her side. And she decides to walk home for over 100 kilometers in the April and May heat for over 30 days or more. Now imagine that happening with an exodus of 40 million migrants, the largest exodus and displacement of migrants in history. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the grim picture. But it's not all gloom and doom. Through today's insightful discussion, we have panelists of experts who will discuss challenges and the stellar relief measures being taken to address the same, and more importantly, how each one of us can play a role. I'm very excited today to talk to an eclectic mix of panelists from across NGOs, social enterprises, CSR arms, and brands and organizations. They may be from different backgrounds, but what is common amongst each of them is the passion for this cause and their commitment towards making a difference. We will be taking a few questions towards the end, so please do write in your questions. Without further ado, let me introduce our guests. We have with us Shabnam Panjwani, Executive Vice President and Head Marketing and Comms, Edelweiss Group, where she spearheads brand positioning and thought leadership. She has over 25 years of diverse marketing and communications experience, kickstarting her career with Dakuna Advertising, followed by a long stint with Everest Diva NR, where she successfully built and managed a wide portfolio of brands across different industries. Shabnam joined Edelweiss in 2006 and has led various initiatives to establish the Edelweiss brand in the highly cluttered and competitive financial services space. Instrumental in aligning marketing efforts of the rupees 85 billion Edelweiss Group, her efforts over the years have earned the group recognition as one of India's most promising brands by Economic Times and among India's 100 most valuable brands by World Consulting Research. Apart from marketing, she is also passionate about theatre and blues. Thank you, Shabnam, for joining us.
Thank you. Love to be here.
Our next panelist is Nagma Mullah, President and Chief Operating Officer at Edelgate Foundation. She is also a member of the Board of Directors at the organization. Over the last 8 years, she has enabled growth and scale for the organizations that Edelgate Foundation supports and has fostered strategic partnerships within the philanthropic network. She has also developed and nurtured 2 large collaboratives with diverse stakeholders, which are working with some of the most vulnerable communities to support education for children and economic and social empowerment of women. Nagma is also a chartered accountant and has a Master of Commerce degree from Pune University. Talk about a hardcore number cruncher pursuing a career leading with the heart. Thank you, Nagma. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
We also have with us Aniket Dogar, CEO and co-founder of Haq Darshak, a social enterprise. He has more than 10 years of experience in the development sector. He was a Teach for India Fellow and has worked with the Gyan Prakash Foundation and Indus Action. He was also an Acumen India Fellow 2018 and was selected for Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia. Aniket is an alumnus of SRCC Delhi. Aniket is joining us from Shimla right now, and there's a funny backstory. Our team actually delivered a laptop right up to his home to tide over technical glitches just to make this happen. Thank you, Aniket, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be.
We also have another distinguished guest, Mr. Ashif Sheikh, founder Jan Sahas, who will be joining us shortly. But without further ado, let's get started with our panelists. Nagma, I'll start with the first question addressed to you. Edelgive has done some stellar work with COVID relief through its network of NGOs and pledged generously to the PM CARES Fund. Edelgive has also helped develop and is a signatory to the Common Charter for Indian Donors and Philanthropic Community, calling for a platform for collective action towards COVID relief. Do tell us more about this and the outreach, especially for the displaced migrant communities.
Yes. Thank you very much, Leena. It's a very important question at this time. Since 2008, we have been working with small and medium-sized organizations. We completely dedicated to that purpose. However large we become, our heart lies with ensuring that the ecosystem of small and medium, fantastically, purposed organizations across the country are enabled. And with the onslaught of COVID, we saw some huge distress, and the SOSs started coming out almost from the first week. And we work with a fantastic network, but that network is our strength. We saw the network adapt amazingly to ensuring food relief is provided, and also wherever there was a cry for help, the organizations had adapted to it. So it became our responsibility to do whatever we could as funders. And within 2 days, a task force within Edelgive was formed that really was taking all the information that we were getting from the ground and really accessing every friend, every colleague, every co-funder that we knew to inform them of the grievances that we were hearing. So there was a huge fundraising machinery that really started operating, and we were able to raise nearly $3 million in the first month itself, where to small organizations across Chobis Pargana and Alwar, and organizations that were spread across this geography. And then the migrants started walking, and a different level of catastrophe was observed. And we were also lucky to have been partnering with Jan Sahas, which is one of the most outstanding organizations, I must add. And I've been privy to some of the community level work that they do. The adaptation they showed and the way they collaborated with 50 NGOs and really came up with so many interventions to ensure they were providing relief at different points was an eye-opener for us as well. And that's what Edelgive does. See, our mission, we understand our role as funders. We can influence, we can bring the spotlight. We have been doing all of that, ensuring the right stories reach the funders, ensuring funders are mobilized, and we can evangelize the pledge where we're talking about responsible giving, and also then enabling collaborations such as the MRC, which is the Migrant Resilience Collaborative, to again make sure that the most marginalized and the most needy are getting the help that they should get. And that's what we've been doing.
Wow, that's truly inspiring, especially the part where you said like it was like a commando operation of under 2 days when you've galvanized that kind of team and efforts. I mean, that's truly spectacular. Aniket, while we've heard from Nagma about some of the efforts from a CSR standpoint, I'm curious to understand the programs from a social enterprise space and what it really means for the Kantabais and the Ramu Kakas working with us, because they've really been the pillar of support, the entire domestic help community for each one of us, right? And I understand that there are over 10,000 government schemes and yojanas in place for them. So what are some of the challenges that this community faces in accessing the same, and how is Hak Darshak bridging this gap?
So I think the first important point here is that just the digital access. I mean, I'm an example right here. I mean, what a task it was to get me on this webinar in terms of just being in Shimla. So I think just the kind of digital access that is available to people in the communities, and just COVID has shown us that it's a huge gap. and it is a challenge in terms of bridging that gap. So I think just in terms of information, we've been able to digitize all these schemes and put it on the Play Store as an app. So within the first 15 days, we were able to set up a helpline in 15 local languages, put up all the information, get all the schemes on the, like I said, on the Play Store app as well. And I think the largest, contributor in this has been the community people themselves, like our entrepreneurs, our darshaks, our women entrepreneurs who've been able to mobilize all the support even during COVID. And that kind of decentralized approach for us has really helped. But I think, like I mentioned in the beginning, I think the biggest challenge still remains in bridging this digital gap, which is widening, whether it's in education, whether it is in access. Everything is moving online, and we don't have that kind of infrastructure in a country, especially for the marginalized. So I think that, in a sense, I feel is going to be a big challenge, and that's where information awareness is also really important in making sure people know what they are really eligible for and the correct information reaches them.
So this is very interesting, but what I'm also curious and keen to understand is, with this mammoth magnitude of scale of 10,000 plus government yojanas, how has your team been able to create and productize this over a platform? Walk us through that journey.
So we've always been very clear that we want to build the products and, like you said, go through a product approach. So the first step we did was create an agent app, which is focused for rural India, where we have women entrepreneurs who are members of self-help groups. So we train 5,000 such women across the country in 19 states who become entrepreneurs and are able to use the platform. Our mobile app also works offline without internet. And then they're able to tell citizens what are they exactly eligible for, basis their profiles. So that is step one. We have a research team also which digitizes all these schemes in easy to understand language. The content is in 15 local languages, so English is not a barrier. And then the second product that we launched during COVID, like I mentioned, was putting all of this on Play Store for free information. So you don't need to then depend on an entrepreneur. Today you can go download a Haq Darshak app, put in your state, put in the local language, and put in your information, individual, or if you're an MSME, you can also put in your entity information as a micro business and get all the schemes that you're eligible for. That to us, even when we were identifying the problem, is 50% of the problem. If you can identify the individual and get them the right information at the right time, that is half the problem solved. Then, of course, you have to do the last mile service. But I think most people are unable to get all the government schemes, documents, because at the right time, they don't get the information. I mean, a very important example is the scholarships that are launched every year, right? Like they have a 3-month window. If you cannot tell the eligible students about the scholarships in that 3-month window, then they have to go and wait for the next year because it's only in that period that they can apply. Similarly, that's the reason we also saw a lot of urban citizens who are migrating back, struggling for rations, struggling for Jan Dhan accounts because their accounts were outdated. They weren't updated. There was not a one nation, one ration card system. So a lot of people in today's day and age, in the 21st century, with all these advances, technology, we had so many people going hungry. And that's where the civil society had to step in and literally have relief camps and provide ration. It's literally an eye-opener that while doing all of the systems and building, open APIs and all of this, we are not able to ensure that citizens get access to simple ration. And one of the things is identity. They don't have the identity proofs. Yes. They don't have the ration cards. They've been in urban metros, and the identity cards are in rural cities. So these are some of the challenges which we've seen that through our product, at least we're able to identify the right information.
That is a tremendous scale, and to be able to digitize so many schemes and provide a platform and an interface where it's as easy and seamless as pretty much a do-it-yourself based on eligibility, I think it's kudos to you and the team. So Shabnam, taking on from Ankit on the government schemes, I know that Edelweiss launched the Help Your Health portal and the campaign recently in the similar space. There are also multiple brands across categories that have come forward during these times with campaigns leading the CSR narrative. some posting thank yous on packaging of their products, while others asking the consumers to reach out to help the elderly or the domestic help. What makes Help Your Help unique?
Thank you for asking this question, and it's wonderful to meet with you, Aniket, and hearing your story. Um, I think part of this, of course, and for what we do when we do these kind of campaigns is inspiring or inspiration from our partner Edelgive, right? Because I think, like I always maintain, whereas as Edelweiss, we are a group where all our businesses are our pillars, all our various enterprise functions like OPCA, risk, HR, ourselves, marketing, walls. But Edelgive and all the values that we have is truly the soul. And I think, inspired by them and what they were doing during the COVID. And I think of absolutely the amazing service that Haftarshak is putting in. We thought that the one thing that we could do, and what is probably missing, is look at the unorganized sector, which is what we would typically call people who help us, who support us, who are our life supports, right? May they be our house helps, the drivers, the caregivers for senior citizens, our security guards, our office peons, people who are not destitute, but they are probably one of the worst affected because everything's shut down and they couldn't get from one place to the other. A lot of employers weren't even looking at helping them out in any other form. And we constantly keep on giving cash and advances when they need anything, but this doesn't help them in the long term.
Yeah.
What we also were amazed is that, yes, I think everyone got onto the bandwagon to be seen to be relevant, to be seen to be empathetic. So there is a lot of stuff around the whole feel good area of marketing, right? That
Yes.
I am going out and supporting a cause and I will feel good. When I hand over something to someone who needs it, I also feel very good. Then it of course moved a lot to the show good, which I think again a lot of brands doing. I think it is extremely relevant. It immediately connects when you're talking about people affected during the pandemic. I think we just wanted to not be one of the lot and truly step in and act good. And who are the ones who are going to act good? All of us. We're the haves in all forms and spaces. We are some of the most privileged. We have houses, we have technology, we have access, we have ability. And the people who are our life support don't have any of this. But what we also have today, from work from home perspective, is the time. And like Aniket so beautifully put it, I'm saying while they've gone and digitized everything, it is still very intimidating to your house help, to your cook, to your security, to your driver, to your peon, to your security guards. How are they going to start accessing? A lot of them don't even know that all of this is available for them. So I know the team, including yourself, Sheena, I think you scoured some 9,000 odd schemes. We went through what was going to be the most relevant to this sector. And then we were very clear that the people we have to target are people like you and me, the ones who are sitting at home or working from home, whose life support is currently not either available or if available is still not managing to live in a manner that is making them more self-reliant. I mean, we all know that whole adage, right? If you give a man a fish, he's going to feed himself. But give him the fishing line and learn and teach him how to fish, so that is forever, self-reliant. And so that's
Yeah.
all that we've done.
And this is in line with the PM speak of becoming Atmanirbhar.
Yes, and that is really what also I think what is also our own crux, right? I mean, when we say be unlimited, it is about removing obstacles. So can we remove obstacles? Can I get you identification documents? Can I get your cook, your driver, your peon, any one of these people? We can get them. The process is beautifully laid out by Haq Darshak. Can we ensure that is given? Can we help them get their life insurance and their Mediclaim? Can we get them the loans for child and for their children education? Can we get them loans for women and their development? Because all of this is available. How do we just help that happen? So the portal that was created, helpyourhelp.com, is truly what we believe under these 5 spaces: financial help, identification documents, women development, child development. People can come in and we can come in, look at what is most relevant to those who work for us and help them, truly become self-reliant. I think that is the bottom line.
Right. No, wonderfully articulated, Shabnam, because you've hit the nail on the spot, really, because you've spoken about brands, today are doing about show good, feel good, but we're actually walking the talk, going a lot beyond and making it more active oriented, and the onus lies on the individual then to empower their own domestic health. And it also talks about the wonderful collaboration and leaning in and synergies that we've had with Haq Darshak. Speaking of, collaborations, Nagma, Edelgive has been involved with multiple collaborative and coalition-based models. The Climate Collaborative, Collaborators for Transforming Education, Coalition for Women Empowerment, and the more recently Migrants Resilience Collaborative. Do you see this as the new model in serving societal needs? And what may be some of the key challenges faced with such structures?
I wish it became a norm. That's how important I think it is. See, we are all working very diligently in the areas of our own expertise. Just look at even Your Help campaign, or look at what we're doing with migrant collaboratives as well. Edelgive has a certain set of propositions, certain set of things we're good at, and so has Jansas, and so has Haq Darshak, and so has Edelweiss. Now, when we try to resolve all problems by ourselves, we're really getting nowhere except for attempting at solutions. We find it very important to work with co-workers in different spaces to structure and design solutions and also work on it together. The Education Collaborative started around 4 years ago. From first year of working with 25,000 children, we could scale it within a year to 1 million children. Because we could rely on other partners, we could rely on our execution partners, our funders, to come and bridge the gaps that we had maybe, and we could bridge the gap for them. So I think collaboratives is really the way Edelgive thinks and functions, and we are very, very keen to partner with organizations such as Jansas, who are the experts of the field, and we can lend our expertise in where it works. And that's the design that we see can resolve a lot of big problems going forward. What a Haq Darshak model is doing, for example, it not only brings the spotlight to the fact that there is something called an entitlements, which a majority of the privileged do not really recognize because it comes easy to us. The concept of entitlements and the concept that there is a large section of population in this country that is deprived of it is something that Haq Darshak was very successfully bringing into the spotlight by what it did. So while we have to congratulate them on this brilliant app and the fact that they've brought so many schemes into within Access, what actually they did was put it out there that there is a problem that we were not seeing, and then the other players can come together and make sure that it builds on it. And that's what collaborative action does. And that's why we're huge proponents of collaborative action.
Right. Oh, I think, you've again articulated beautifully about the strength of coalition and collaborative efforts. Each one of us, we see this in our teams and across all functions. But when you do this from a CSR lens and you try and collaborate with the government in the implementation and machinery, the magnitude and scale itself is phenomenal. We should have...
Sheena, I'm sorry, just 1 minute. If we only functioned that as an Edelweiss arm, and if Edelweiss only let us function as an Edelweiss arm, I doubt we would be able to do half of which we were doing. And the CSR in itself can do nothing until multiple stakeholders come and make it much bigger. And to be empowered by a parent to design stuff like that, but also to be able to go out and find co-minded, like-minded people who help building that solution, it does a world of good.
No, absolutely, I'm with you. In fact, you spoke about the collaborative, and Ashif ji should be joining us any minute now. The Migrant Resilience Collaborative, and for those of us, who don't know, and I'm guessing most of us, Mr. Ashif ji, you live a long life. You've just joined us currently. Great. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Bhai.
Right. We have with us Mr. Ashif. Sorry, is your name?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just go ahead. Mr. Ashif Sheikh, endearingly called Ashif Ji, is truly an inspiration in himself. He is the co-founder of Jan Sahas. He has 20 years experience in working towards safe migration, ending forced labor practices and violence against women through eradication of the inhuman practice of manual scavenging. He is also actively involved with caste-based commercial sexual exploitation of children and trafficking, and also supporting survivors of rape, trafficking, and sexual abuse gain access to justice in India. Ashif Ji is member of the various committees of Niti Aayog, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and other ministries of Government of India, and has received various national and international awards and fellowships, including the Ashoka Fellowship, Times of India Social Impact Award, and the Star Impact Award by Bill Clinton. He's on the boards of multiple national and international CSOs and networks. Thank you so much, Ashif Ji, for joining us. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
We were just talking, about the whole migrant communities, domestic help, the crisis situation, that is facing us currently. We also just touched upon, the Migrant Resilience Cooperative. You have set yourself an audacious goal with leading the world's first and the largest migrant outreach program of impacting 10 million migrant lives. Is it safe to say that while COVID relief work is more immediate and short-term, the MRC will strive towards long-term rehabilitation of migrants? How did you come about this, and what is the outline of the program?
Yeah. So I think during the COVID, everybody is realized the migrant community is facing multiple challenges and problem in their lives. And it's not new for the migrant worker, because in India, if you see the migration pattern and the increase in the prevalence of the migration from last 3 to 4 decades. So basically from the rural area, the poor people, particularly like the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, like the Dalit, Adivasi and other poor people, migrating from the rural area to the urban area because of multiple reasons, like non-availability of employment, non-availability of livelihood, or like the dignity or like the respect in the rural area because of the caste system, or like the climate change is also contributed a lot for the promotion of the migration in the rural area. So in last 3 to 4 decades, like the rural poor people from the most excluded community migrating to the cities, big city or small cities for the employment, and they are getting the employment. They are not migrating for like the whole year or for a permanent. So basically in India, about 68% people are migrating for between 6 to 9 months, and it's called seasonal migration. When they migrate from the rural area to the urban, so basically they face multiple kind of the challenges related to the the safety, related to the dignity at the workplace. They facing multiple challenges related to the wages, sexual abuse at the workplace. All these challenges migrant community are facing. So basically we are working from the last many years with the migrant community, but particularly during the COVID, their situation is exposed very well because of the coverage in the media, social media. And nowadays, if you see in India, everybody is aware their pain, their the challenges in their life. And basically during the the lockdown period, within 1 week we conducted a study, and basically Nagmaji reviewed the study actually. So we got lots of support from the Edelweiss, Edelgeo, and currently in MRC Edelgive Foundation is one of the strategic partner, and we are initiated this MRC initiative together. So first of all, I'm very thankful to Edelgive and Edelweiss for their contribution for this important issue. That's a one thing. But during the lockdown period, when we released the report, so more than 600 newspapers in India and about 300 newspapers and TV channels covered that study or finding of the study, and basically lots of people express their interest to support this cause. So issue is exists from decades, but exposed.
It's gotten exposed. The vulnerability has just gotten exposed.
Yeah. So exposed very in last 4 to 5 months. So during the lockdown period or COVID, we supported about 1.5 million migrant worker. But we realize the number of migrant worker is very high in India. So in India, according to the Government of India's data from 2011, about 140 million migrant workers, like 14 crore migrant workers in India. But if you include their family members, their children, because in most of the families or like the migrant worker go to the a destination side alone. So family is still in the source villages. So the number is very huge. And their a contribution in India's GDP or like the business growth is a very, very high, because without the migrant worker, we are not do anything in the cities. So if you see the taxi drivers, if you see the construction work, textile industry, all these industries are depend on the migrant worker. But the pain and the problem is that when the migrant worker face the challenges and problem, our society is completely forget these people and basically behave like these people are invisible. We were not able to provide any kind of support to the migrant. That's why they travel from Delhi or Bombay to Bihar. Some people, when I interview some migrant worker, they travel about 1,000 kilometers. They walk actually with their kids, with their families, and they face a problem related to the shelter, water, food. So I think as a society, we completely failed to protect our citizen, and particularly like these migrant workers. That's one thing. The second thing, government is also responsible to serve these people, because their number is very huge. About like 20 to 30% India's population is a migrant worker population or their family members. So it's not a very small number. Sometimes like when migrant worker migrate from the source to destination, so no any government is care about these people, because they are not voting at the destination. So if the person is migrating from Bihar to Bombay, so in Maharashtra election they will not vote. So Maharashtra government is not care about their issue, and the same thing sometime in Bihar also. So basically political will is very, very important, but the political parties or the government, they are not or complete their responsibility to support these people. And the third about the industry. So industry role is a very important, as I mentioned. If we can calculate the contribution of the migrant worker in India's growth or economy, because they build all our infrastructure, our airport, our road, our like the highway, all these things. But industry is also not care about them. So basically in the Migrant Resilience Collaborative, we try to develop a platform where civil society or philanthropies, businesses and the government can come together and work together to support these migrant families. And basically we are offering 4 kind of support. So the first, in India, no any real-time tracking system is exists. In US and some European countries, some kind of system is exists. But as far as the India is concerned, Indian Parliament passed a law about 30 years ago, but this law is not implementing in anywhere in our country. So basically, we try to develop a social registry of the migrant worker or real-time tracking of the migrant worker. The second thing is, in India, we have more than 1,300 social security benefit for the poor people. But these, like the migrant community, they are not able to get access. And we identify 13 major schemes, including like NREGA, BOCW. So we try to facilitate implementation of these social security benefit. Then the third thing, we introduce a self-assessment tool for the industry. So basically, we are urging to the Indian industry or like the multinational brands, you can care about the migrant worker if you support them, if you can ensure the social security of the migrant worker. It's a very powerful business case. You can earn more money or you can make more money because many times like the people are thinking if you can invest more in the for the workers, it's not a good case for the business. But as far as our understanding from last 3 to 4 years to work with the industry or businesses, we realize if industry invests 3,000 or 2,800 rupees for per worker, they can earn or make more money. So we try to engage with the industry, and we also ensure the protection of the worker, because if you see in last like 5 months, we documented about 580 incidents of the deaths of the migrant worker, and more than 800 people died. About 28% cases of the suicide of the migrant worker. So I think the protection is a very, very important issue. And basically these people are dying every day because of the suicide, because of the road accident, and we are not able to provide support. And I'm not saying about the law. We have more than 68 laws for to protect the worker, including Bonded Labor Act, Minimum Wage Act, Interstate Migration Act, Child Labor Prohibition Act, Sexual Harassment at Workplace. All these laws are exist, but the main thing is कि if the society or our people will aware that these migrant workers are also part of our society, we need to protect them. So in the MRC, basically we try to generate a awareness and the sensitivity in our larger community that these people are contributing a lot. So, for example, my house is built by the migrant worker, but when they are in the difficult situation, why we are not proactively provide support to these people? So in MRC, basically, we work to implement the law and the policies. We deliver the social security benefit, but the most importantly, we try to make this issue as a national issue, and everybody, each and every can engage, from business to the poor people can engage and support this movement. I can stop now. I don't know. I took more time, I think.
No,
Sorry.
Ashif ji, the passion is just flowing through. I mean, it's come straight from the heart, and trust you me, it is touched straight to the heart. It's more power to you. I think you've spoken about truly revolutionary, path-breaking, and truly unlimited measures. This is incredible, honestly. In fact, there was a very interesting anecdote, that Nagma did share with us, and we would love to hear from you. I mean, it is just the stark reality, right? And this huge disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And I think COVID has just widened that gap and made it even more starkly naked and brutal. The value of money, the value of what one cup cutting chai that all of us have, at our canteens or, at the corner shops of just 10 rupees. Do tell us what that 10 rupees means for a migrant worker. The anecdote when you were on the ground, your first-hand experience, when you were on the streets and you spoke about, seeing those orphaned kids and infants.
Yeah. So I can share one of my experience during our first rapid assessment with 3,500 migrant workers in the month of like the last week of March, actually, just after the second day of the lockdown. And we called to 3,000, like about 10,000 people, more than 10,000 people, and 3,500 responded, and they need to expend about 10 to 15 minutes to complete the survey. And the last question was कि आपको क्या लग रहा है अभी कि आपकी जिंदगी कैसे जा रही है? And most of the workers from the North India and particularly from the Bundelkhand of Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, they said कि भैया ये कोविड हमें कब मारेगा वो पता नहीं, लेकिन भूख मुझे मार देगी. And that sentence come again and again in last 4 to 5 months. And basically, when I interviewed to one guy, he was in Shimla at that time. He's from Panna district of Madhya Pradesh, and he engaged in the construction industry, in construction work in Shimla. So he said कि मैं continuously try कर रहा हूँ कि मेरे बच्चे के लिए दूध मिले, लेकिन दुकानें बंद है, मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है, और जो ठेकेदार है या मालिक है वो पिछले 7-8 दिन पहले उसे पता चला कि ऐसे कुछ होने वाला है, तब से वो गायब है. And basically migrant worker are like getting the wages on a weekly basis. Every like Friday, शुक्रवार जिसको उनको ये पैसा मिलता है. तो उसने कहा कि मुझे हर शुक्रवार को पैसा मिलता था, 2 शुक्रवार से मुझे पैसा नहीं मिला है, मेरे बच्चे को मैं दूध नहीं दे सकता, और उसका बच्चा 18 महीने का था. तो इस तरह की कई सारी स्टोरीज. एक और शिमला के साथी थे, क्योंकि हमारे साथ शिमला के साथी बैठे हुए, तो एक्चुअली एक और व्यक्ति थे, उन्होंने कहा कि वो वहां से साइकिल से दिल्ली आए हैं, अब उनको बुंदेलखंड जाना है. So like thousand and thousand stories, these kind of like the painful stories, and I'm not sharing here to like the show the pain of the migrant community, because many times when you discuss the pain, but at the same time we also need to discuss about their courage. They are not blaming to their employer. No any like the migrant worker, very few people, like 4 to 5% people blame their employer, but they said कि ये हालत मेरी ऐसी हो गई है. So I think we need to respect the courage of these people. They build all these infrastructure and the Indian economy. But हम जब उनको देते हैं, सरकार की तरफ से हम क्या दे रहे हैं? हम 500 रुपए दे रहे हैं उनको. 500 रुपए में हम बोल रहे हैं कि आप महीने भर का राशन चलाओ. In India, we have like the family size of the migrant worker is 5 actually, according to our LMT survey, because we are conducting like the longitude migration tracking system in some corridors of India, and according to that, the family size of the migrant worker is 5, and the number of like the family member are traveling for the migration work is 3. So 3 or 5 people are not able to manage their whole like the month 1 month ration with 500 rupees. But under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, we are providing 500 rupees. We are investing more money for infrastructure creation. We are investing more money for the other projects. But when the people are suffering, and it's not a permanent like the support migrant worker required, it's a very like small period of time. They required support for 3 months or 4 months. But as a country, as a, like the government, we are not able to serve these communities. So I think the value of the money in the community is very high. But again, I want to like urge, keep this issue is not about the money. This issue is about the political will of the government. Why we are not care about the migrant worker, because their political voice is not there. That's the one thing. The second thing, they comes from the unorganized sector. So like all the people in this call mostly come from the like the private sector, and basically I always try कि private sector worker and the civil society and government can work together. Through that kind of approach we can solve the problem. Otherwise, if we can just blame, if I am working with the workers or like the migrants, if I continuously blame to the industry कि you are not providing minimum wages, it's not a solution. But just my understanding is कि if all these people can come together with the right kind of strategy and the clear-cut mindset कि we want to save these people, because currently thousands and thousands people are dying, and particularly like the migrant worker, and we as a society, we are failing actually to save our people. So these kind of issues are definitely related to the money, but not always related to the money. If we can come with the it's a very hard-hitting issue. If you see the stories from Bihar, so one girl like travel from Bombay to Bihar with her father actually. So like you can solve some problem with the money, but I think we need to change our behavior and mindset. For example, if if I am constructing my house, what kind of behavior we have with the migrant worker? Are we respecting them? Because it's a clear-cut case of the dignity and respect. These are the Indian citizens. They need like the respect, even though they are receiving money or food packet from the government. But the respect and dignity is very, very important. And I think this whole struggle is about the dignity and respect of the our fellow citizens.
Very, very true. And you spoke about empathy, dignity, respect. Shabnam, I would like you to tell us about what is the space of purpose-driven marketing and brands. Is it just a lip speak, and or is it really about brands today endorsing empathy and being authentic? What is the need of the hour?
I think, and has been widely spoken, the whole the test is really, in these kinds of times, strength of your brand. How well your brand understands what matters to most people right now. I mean, that's really, trying to be empathetic. I think overarchingly, all brands have realized that there is a need to not only talk, but truly demonstrate that if they want to be seen to be authentic or seen to be caring or seen to be empathetic, how do you demonstrate that? For us, it has I'm not going to say it's been easy, but it seems like a natural thing for us because at the Edelweiss Group, we've always been associated with multiple causes, right? I mean, it to us, I think it's always been purpose-driven marketing. A lot of what I said right in the beginning of the inspiration comes from Edelgave. For instance, an entire association with sports. It started out with Edelgave being the first strategic partner with Olympic Gold Quest about 8, 10 years ago, a decade ago, when names like PV Sindhu, Mary Kom weren't even known. We all know that today brands love sports association, but only when you become a champion. That's not how Ilgaz saw it, right? They saw it as actually being committed to ensuring that women take up sport. And therefore, when no one else would have touched them, we were there. And I think the underlying thing is a long-term partnership. It's not some marketing gimmick, not to get GRPs and TRPs or just be a brand during the IPL. It has to be a long-term partnership. It has to, you know, truly flow through the DNA of our system. So, for example, for Help Your Help, who were the ones who stood by us? Because we didn't spend any marketing dollars.
Right.
We were very clear that Help Your Help would become something that would be organic. We appealed to the entire employee base of our organization, from the senior leaders to everyone in through the organization. The teams have gone out and spoken to their clients and have sent communication to their clients, and that was an amazing collaboration. But I think that also only comes because you believe in it.
Right.
I don't think people saw it ever as a marketing gimmick, and it shouldn't be. This is the point where we can then dip in, and I'll come back to our sports commitment. The ones who supported Help Your Help for us were the athletes who are our brand endorsers, who we've supported. Whether it was Hima Das, whether it was Deepa Karmarkar, whether it was Rani Rampal, or anyone else, or Manika, Mirabai, Hina Sidhu, they all came out there and supported Help Your Help, and they reached a huge influencer in their own right. So I think purpose-driven marketing, if I come back to your basic, is not only adopting a purpose, but it has to be demonstrating both our belief in that purpose and trying to influence the huge community that we outreach. Because it's not only employees, it's not only our clients,
All our
it's
stakeholders.
our families, it's client families. I mean, can you imagine the whirlpool and the huge expansive reach that we actually can connect to say, please, these are people who've supported you all your lives. You've been able to go to work because there's someone who's coming to cook for you. You've been able to get to work safely because there's a driver there. You sleep well at night because there's a security guard down there. Your office peon, who we all sort of take for granted, he's there and then he's getting you all and everything that you need. These
Right.
people need your help. And
No.
we're the ones who are going to come and stand up. Everyone who works are our stakeholders or who we reach out to. So,
No, absolutely. You spoke about, commitment and authenticity, and I will pose one last question from my end before we open and take the questions from the audience. Aniket, this one's for you. We spoke earlier and you mentioned about your 10 failures that you experienced with the models, with Haq Darshak and in your journey. And you wear that with a badge of honor. I'm curious to know, what is it that keeps you going? What is it that keeps you invested?
So I think there've been stalwarts like Ashif Bhai who have also we've learned so much from organizations in the past, and I think for me the main thing that is still haunts me is are the numbers that I talked about. 80 crore people dependent on ration card, and we've still not been able to solve those. So just looking at these problems as building a young team which is looking at this as a problem and solution driven issue, because at the end of the day all these people are very aspirational. They are our house helps, they are rural citizens, but they have their own aspirations, they want services, and they want irreversible improvements in their standards of living. They don't want to fall into a trap where they again get back into these circumstances because another COVID hits. So we need to look at the documentation, the social security issues, the savings issues for all the citizens. So initially, I mean, at Hakdarshak we failed because we tried replicating a lot of models. We tried replicating the government model. We tried and thought that an app will be there and magically solve issues. We realized that technology is an enabler, not the end solution. We need to empower more people with the technology, and it needs to but at the same time technology is very important. So I think our team today, like I mentioned earlier, we have 5,000 women entrepreneurs. Through COVID, actually, they have been champions in rural India and been earning 3,000 to 4,000 rupees as an income through our platform. That's something that has given us a lot of confidence that our model works. Today, on a monthly basis, we are able to just focus on government schemes. That's the only focus area that we are really concentrating on. But we've been able to facilitate close to 50,000 applications per month in this year so far. So I think that hope that this solution, this something that we are doing can reach that scale, reach that number, is something that keeps us going. But just to repeat that even today when we try something, out of 10 things only one works. So we still fail a lot. It's such a complex problem, and the working with people and solving these issues, I think I just urge a lot of people, young people who are trying to solve using technology, using a lot of resources, to come and see a lot of these problems and challenges, and I think come to the forefront. This is the absolutely right time to contribute, think of solutions, and kind of build, because I think there are a lot of young people now I see that who are thinking of large scale solutions in rural employment, urban employment, entitlement space, which is fantastic.
Wow, thank you. Thank you all for such a rich, inspiring session. I'm sure this will inspire our audience to reach out to the underserved and help them become Atmanirbhar in their lives. I will take some questions which the team has fed to me. This one's for Nagma. Within the landscape of new normal, how can NGOs navigate reduced CSR grants and challenges in the delivery mechanism?
Yes, that's unfortunately a very, very vital question right now. The fact is that we are suffering from a weak economy right now, and CSR allocations have dwindled, and a lot of money has already been spent on COVID relief. And in the new normal, there is going to be a severe hit on the budgets that NGOs have had. This is a problem that we've been anticipating for a while. It is coming in, and in 2 months it's going to be much tougher. My submission as an answer to this problem is not really to the NGOs to say how can they navigate. Again, for this problem to be resolved, or this initiative to be, this problem to be managed, we will have to come together even as a funder group, as well as an NGO group, to really understand how do we optimize costs, how do we ensure that we are patient with capital, how do we ensure that we give that leeway to the NGOs to postpone some elements of your budget or to postpone some elements of the program. That is something that the funders will also have to extend. From the perspective of the organizations, I think retail funding has never been it has never worked out so well as it is now. We can see generosity pouring out in case of crowdfunding, and I urge you to please look at that very, very seriously, because that is untied money which is coming from people who really mean well, and those initiatives that have been able to approach and get money out of crowdfunding are able to at least navigate for some time. But yes, the next 1 to 2 years are tough on budgets, and we will have to look into our programs and really look to optimizing costs, maybe postpone some elements of work that are not urgent and important. But what I will also urge is that stay with the communities. There has never been a time like this, and even if lean, to be present and there is very important.
Great, thank you. Next question is for Aniket. What are some of the MSME schemes that you spoke about? Or is that available on?
Yeah. So there is a portal that we launched on August 15th for micro businesses. In India, there are about 6.5 crore businesses that are identified by the government, and majority of them, 90% of them, are micro businesses who have turnover of less than 4 to 5 lakh rupees and are in rural and semi-rural areas. Even if you look at the 20 lakh crore announced and assume that the government has 20 lakh crores, 18 lakh crores is for small businesses and 1.8 lakh crore is for citizens. So the government push, the bank push, the private lending sector push is to encourage more livelihoods through businesses. And that's the entire Atmanirbhar program as well. So we identified that, and now at msme.Darshak, any small business can come in, put in their information, and we looked at, we saw that the biggest gap was that they don't have basic registration. They don't have business Aadhaar done, they don't have their PAN card done, they don't have their Shop Act license done. So they're not credit ready. If they're not going to be credit ready, then either whether it's the government bank, government subsidy, government loan, or a private NBFC or MFI, we can't give them credit, which is especially today the fuel with which they can survive. So these are some of the programs. Essentially, we are looking at a lot of documentation, and then the government mudra loans, the government subventions on subsidy, on interest rate. Then there are the recently launched scheme for street vendors, which is being launched by the government, which is a massive program across the country. So we are looking at a lot of such programs. So far, we have digitized 200 schemes. And we envision that in this space also, there are over 1,000 government programs across the country. So we're looking at seeing that how we can, and that can then enable more livelihoods in the future.
Great, thank you. The next question, this is a tricky one. This is for Ashif ji. He says that he's a factory owner and he had actually provided for a 3-month salary in advance for his laborers to not leave, giving them housing and salary and food, and yet they left and his business is suffering. And even now when he's asked them to come forward, to come back and resume job, they're not. He's wanting to understand aisa kyun hai.
Yeah. So basically, if you take some one case of Surat district of Gujarat. So in Surat, about 1.5 lakh like the workers are engaged in the textile industry from the Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. So they are migrating from these two states to Gujarat for textile related work. During the work, like this period, some industry owners, and we, as I mentioned, we are very closely working with the industry also. So some industry leaders providing like the ration support or like some advances to the community, but the level of distress in the community is very high. So for example, during the lockdown period, they were not engaged in the work, and they want to meet with their family members. So for example, if one person is alone in Surat and the 4 children and the wife and the other family member in like Madhya Pradesh, so they want to go back to their and meet with their family, because it's very difficult for them. They live alone in the destination and work. So definitely many people like went back to their like the home villages, but now still like no any clarity about the transportation, no any clarity about the सरकार कल से वापस ये अनाउंस करेगी क्या लॉकडाउन, क्योंकि केसेस तो बढ़ रहे हैं भैया. सो ये टाइप का जो एक कम्युनिटी का कंटिन्यूसली लाइक कहना है कि अगर मैं कल चला जाता हूँ फिर भी मुझे वापस आना पड़ेगा क्या. So like these kind of cases and the confusion and the distress is everywhere, and migrant workers are also facing the same kind of problem. So my like the suggestion to the participant is कि if you can connect regularly with this like your worker and definitely they required like the job or livelihood, and they have like the permanent job or like the contract job. Definitely they will come again, because at the source they are not able to find the jobs. And it's a huge problem in the rural area, because a rural area, if one village is able to give jobs to 10 people, but currently in that village about 200 people are there, and everybody want jobs, so villagers and the village economy is not able to give the livelihood. Definitely these migrant worker, most of the migrant worker will go back to the like the cities for employment, and I think they will again connect. But my only urge is ki, if these workers are engaged with your factory, you can connect regularly with them and reduce the confusion, reduce the distress with them. So yeah.
Sure, thank you. The last question for Shabnam. How can brands make meaningful strides with huge budget constraints?
I hope this is a question from one of our employees, because if there are huge budget constraints, we'll use all of you. I think, one of the things that has been taught during the pandemic is you really had to, put on your hat and look at the most innovative ways to reach as many people in the digital space. I think conventional media apart, the fact remains that we now have devices streaming through to us all the time. We are dependent on them. So I think using the right influencers who are also as committed to what you want to say or do is one great space. Employees, I think they are our biggest brand ambassadors. If they reach, forget each, if 15% of our employees reach out to 15% of their contacts, you've already got it viral, right? And the whole Help Your Help was trending, I think, about a week ago in Bombay.
Organic.
It's completely organic, right? We didn't put in any marketing dollars. It was helped by every one of our businesses stood up and did that. And this is one of the things that you'll find most other organizations don't have. We don't collaborate. I think Nagma put it so wonderfully. This entire space of being able to collaborate with each other, belief systems are the same. I don't know many companies who would be able to tap into their own resources and their own companies to go out and create a movement. And I think we did it phenomenally. So hats off to everyone there. So yes, you don't have the money, rely on people who already
your
are with
existing
you.
stakeholder system.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. It was such a pleasure to have you all on board. And truly, there is so much hope, even though there is so much gloom and doom. In fact, interestingly, we were going to have our fifth panelist, a gentleman called Srini Swaminathan, who's a COVID hero. And, individuals and laymen like me, not associated with organizations, not associated with CSR or NGOs, this man by himself in 3 months had raised 40 lakhs of funds towards COVID relief, has distributed over 1 lakh rations to the migrants. He's been awarded by Better India as a COVID hero. Till date, he distributes 35,000 cups of chai at stations and platforms, for the migrant community. I think each one of us has a role to play to be more empathetic as employers, rise to the occasion by volunteering, associating with this cause, and in helping your health. The need of the hour is empathy, compassion, and giving. To our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to having you all join us back. Till then, stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aniket. Thank you, Ashifji. I mean, amazing work, hearing from what you're doing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. And hats off. I'm sure all of us at Edelweiss are, always amazed. And I think Nagma is the one spokesperson who always does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shabnam.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.